Hi, welcome to the presentation on quantitative research. Today we're going to be talking about how to look at research articles and determine whether they're quantitative or not. In quantitative research, the author or researchers start with a premise and then they collect data to support that premise. That premise can be a research question or it can be a hypothesis. The researchers use a deductive reasoning approach to looking at the research. Quantitative research is objective, so as much as possible the research want to be as objective as possible and take out any kind of human error. Quantitative research starts with a literature review. In this example here, you can see that the authors Garcia, Weaver, Moskowitz, and Darley cite other research done by other people about bystander apathy. This gives credence to the research that's going to be done. It also shares what's being done in the past or what was done in the past. So it kind of builds a story towards why we're doing the research we're doing now. The other thing about quantitative research is that you'll see that there are large cohorts or large sample sizes. In this case here you can see it's 1,870 and that's a very large sample size. The quantitative research also random samples are preferred, so very rarely are you going to see quantitative research where researchers talk about surveying their friends or their family. They may use more of a purposive type of sample where they're using people within their location, but a good portion of quantitative research you'll see is the samples collected in a random way. The other thing about quantitative research is that it uses tools that produce data. So in this case, these researchers used the Interpersonal Deviant Workplace Behavior Scale, and they measured physical and psychological violence. So in their study, probably in the literature review and in as they were establishing their research, they defined workplace violence as being both physical and psychological. So this tool then lines up with what they say they're going to do. The other thing about quantitative research is that an instrument is not retooled as the data are being collected. In qualitative research, you may see that questions that are being asked change over time so that as researchers realize that they're not getting the data that they want. In quantitative research, the survey instruments are usually established and that's what's being used. In this case here, you can see that there's this scale. This scale is called a Likert scale, or sometimes you'll hear people call it Likert scale. And it can range from 1 to 9. 1 to 5 is a pretty common one. And the subjects of the study then give a rating. So my supervisor encourages me to work independently. They give a rating and that becomes numeric data that is considered objective, and we talked about objective data before. The other thing in quantitative research is that you'll see research being presented as quantities and numbers. And in this case, they're using the analysis of variance, which is a statistical technique that compares the differences in groups. And it gives the F value and then gives the significance level. It also gives the mean and the standard deviation for the sample. So they're comparing boys and girls on a particular measure. And this is called inferential statistics. Quantitative research most of the time uses some kind of inferential type of statistic. The other thing that quantitative research does is summarizing responses. So this is an example taken from another research study where it's relating masculinity and saying that it's related to other things like winning and violence are not related to masculinity, but risk-taking, emotional control, primacy of work are all related to measures masculinity. So they're summarizing the responses. The other thing about quantitative research is that it generalizes results to other populations. So in this case, men with low self-esteem in the sample are then, the results are then generalized to men as a whole. So we're looking at how men with low self-esteem commit domestic violence or are more likely to be abusive. And what the research is saying is that this isn't just with their sample, but it's with the general population at large.